Hi, Jeanette. Can you tell us a little bit about your Addisons that you mentioned to me you were diagnosed with?
Well, I was diagnosed when I was I think about 33. I was thinking about this the other day, but I had been experiencing symptoms since I was 18, and for, what was that, 15 years, we didn't really know what was going on. So I ended up landing in a hospital in New York while I was working with no family around, with a blood pressure of 80 over 60, and someone telling me I had Addison's disease and not knowing what was going on. I mean, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. Completely changed my life.
And once they told you you had Addison's and you reflected back, do you have any idea how long you might have been dealing with it, really?
Since I was 18, because I stopped my period when I was 18, and we went to my GP, and did all the examinations, ended up going to see another doctor who did more examinations, and they thought I'd gone through menopause at 18. I mean, how devastating is that to an 18-year-old?
So they told you as an 18-year-old that likely never to have a baby,
Yeah,
never to be a mom.
Yeah, they put me on progesterone and progesterone to take in order to have a menstrual cycle, because you need to at 18. I mean, you have to still, your body's still growing, and I did that until basically I landed in the hospital. But thinking that I couldn't have kids, that I had gone through menopause, that I had some condition, that I can't even remember what they told me at that point, and but I was still getting sick, I was still having problems, and nobody knew what was going on.
And when you say you were getting sick, what kind of symptoms did you have?
Well, I mean, every time, I had symptoms from Addison's, but if I got sick, like a normal cold, it would last 3 times longer than anybody else's. Or it would be worse than anybody else's. And so I didn't understand why I could have a common cold and I'd be sick 3 weeks later. And then with the Addison's, if I started losing weight, I would be fatigued. If I got injured, I mean, it was much more debilitating than maybe my friend who seemed normal.
Yeah. And you mentioned that prior to landing in the hospital, you were sick and had been seen by different doctors, felt fatigued, lost weight. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I had moved to New York just for a job. I'd been transferred there, and prior to that, I had started losing weight and couldn't figure out why. In fact, I thought I was anorexic. And asked my mom, "Mom, am I anorexic? I'm ravenously hungry." I'd put a piece of food in my mouth, and all of a sudden my stomach would be upset, it would start bloating, and I couldn't eat. So that was problem number one. I was there in New York when I got there, and I would have these mood swings that were unbelievable. You're under the stress of opening up, I was a restaurant manager, opening up a new restaurant, and couldn't figure out why I'd be high one moment with just the joy of, a new opportunity, and the next minute I'd be in the pits. Like, I was completely depressed. So those are some of the things that I got sick with a cold, probably your flu or whatever, and 5 days later, I had the ambulance at my front door because my parents had called them, because I had called them and said, "I am so sick, I don't know what to do," and they're in California, and they called an ambulance to come pick me up.
Wow.
Yeah, because I didn't know anybody. I mean, in fact, I didn't even have a phone, so I had to walk a mile to the town to use a payphone. This is way before cell phones, obviously.
Holy smokes.
Yeah, but they drove me to a hospital, and I landed in the hospital with a blood pressure of 80 over 60.
And so how does Addison's then affect your day-to-day living?
I have to take medication every day. And if I don't, I mean, it's simple. It's 2 pills. It's 20 milligrams of Cortef, and I take Florinef, which is another medication. But if I don't take those pills, within about 4 hours, everything kind of slows down. I stop thinking very well. I mean, all of a sudden my thought process slows down. I get a backache. I'll start getting shortness of breath. It just seems like things go out of whack, and it happens pretty quickly. I can function, and I've gone an entire day without realizing what's going on, but if I'm more aware of it, then I catch it quicker, then I don't have to go through that. It's not very pleasant.
And you mentioned before that when you are exercising or having increased activity or even stress, you have to adjust your daily dose of medicine.
Yeah, I actually didn't for a long time, thinking, oh no, I'll be fine. I should be able to, work out and learn to be able to do these long races. I outrigger or canoe paddle, and it's a really high energy, high stress sports, and we'll race as long as 5 hours. And if you're out there and you're not taking your medication and you bonk, it's not a very good situation. So my endocrinologist kept on telling me, you need to take extra medication. He had triathletes he worked with. I finally listened, and I did take extra medication, and it made a world of difference out there. I'll take a pill, and within about 15 minutes, I can feel my energy level, my concentration, everything back on track. I mean, it happens that quickly.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
And so if you had anything that you would like healthcare providers to know about dealing with patients with Addison's, what would that be?
Well, when I got out of the hospital in New York, nobody told me I was going to have to take this medication for the rest of my life. So within about 2 weeks, I stopped taking the pills, thinking I was on an antibiotic or something, and didn't realize why I felt so horrible. Nobody told me this was a lifelong commitment. Nobody told me what was going to happen. So number one, you need to educate your patients. You need to tell them this is something you need to take every day, when to take it, and what to look for if you forget to take it. If you get sick, what do you do? I poured boiling water down my leg about 5 years ago, landed in the hospital with a migraine. They had to put me under with narcotics, not realizing that I'd put myself in a stressful situation. Called my endocrinologist. She goes, "What are you doing? You should have called me, number one. Number two, you should have taken extra medication." Again, back to that education. You have to educate your patients. You need to keep on reinforcing that. This is what could happen in these situations.
Very good. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
That was